enjoying a nice Sunday out with Brittany out in the sun. But in between, we got to film this video because we always got to hit those uploads on Monday and Thursday. I refuse to miss. And today, Brittany had mentioned something to me. She said, man, you've had a lot of jobs. I just had mentioned something where I had worked. And it got me thinking. It got me thinking about the professional path, that journey of jobs that we experience, and that, more importantly, where you're at isn't the final state. Where you're at, more often than not, if that's not where you want to be, it's a stepping stone if you use it strategically and correctly. So what did that look like for me? Let's talk about it so you can see the progression. Hindsight's 2020, and I'll say where I ended up now today when I was back going through some of these jobs that we'll talk about, I would have told you you're probably crazy. So I always knew I had to work. If I wasn't in a sport, man, nobody was giving me money. I had a single mom, and I wasn't getting handed money. She was a teacher. It wasn't money to be tossed around like that. So when I was done with football, the day after football season ended, I went down to the mall and went to the surf, skate, snowboard shop named San Diego. Shout out to San Diego. And went in and said, hey, you have a sales job? I'll get out here on the floor and I'll sell, because it was a commission-based place. And you got 50% off, which was huge because, man, I wasn't getting bought all the sick clothes, and I like to be fly, man. Your presentation matters. I knew back then how you present yourself matters. So I was like, man, I want to get the sick threads and make money. And so I started right around November time after football season. And what do you know, man? I was the top sales guy. I was selling thousands of dollars a day and stuff. I wasn't making thousands, but I was selling thousands. And I was getting half off. So I was all threaded out. And, of course, dealing weed on the side, right? Because you got to make that extra. I just knew how to hustle, right? I did not like having no money. That was the one thing. And not to mention, that's not where it started. Back when I had no car, before I even could get around and do anything, I would call my dad up. He was delivering milk at the time for a company called Altadena. I would hit him up, be like, hey, my girlfriend wants to go on a date. I need, to work for, and so we'd get up at 2, 3 in the morning, go deliver milk in the hood and whatever. And that's what I would do. On the weekends, on off-season stuff, if my grandpa needed holes dug or whatever, man, I was just wanted cash. That was the most important thing. I knew having no money was fucking lame. So I always worked for it, or I always tried to see any opportunity that I could use to stack a little dough. Now, moving forward, after I got out of high school, got into college, that's all I knew was sales and a little bit of retail and stuff. So I went to Ron John Surf Shop in Orange County, man. And so I was doing the same thing, making big sales, doing pretty well for them. That was up when I was at college up at Chapman University in Orange, and left there, kicked out of school. Now I'm back at my mom's house being a fucking loser, trying to get my life squared away, go to junior college, and still had to work, man. So I lined it up with some of my father's contacts as a mason's apprentice. So during the day, I was lugging bricks, stacking block, digging holes, laying foundations for homes. That's what I did. 18 years old, was doing that for quite a while, about not a long time, maybe half a year before I started getting the speed wobbles. I started being a little bit more attracted to that fast money. That's when I started dealing ecstasy, dealing drugs, doing all that shit. Man, it is a road to nowhere quick. I knew it was hollow, and I also knew the walls were closing in. I could feel some voices talking to me going, hey man, dude. And I got out of there, called my dad, gave him all my money, left, And a bunch of people went to prison after I left. So it was probably a good time to get out of there. And I'm glad I listened to that authentic voice. Now, where am I back? Back in Boston, living in the basement of my aunt and uncle's house. Started landscaping, started doing foundations again, doing some masonry, and plowing during the winters. All winter, man, we'd work 15 to 18 hours all night, plowing roads, shoveling whatever. The sun started coming out, we started landscaping again, doing mulching, doing all the stuff all around the mansions. Real high-end shit. That was actually pretty cool because I got to meet a lot of the guys in the area. It was cool working with your shirt off, getting some sun out this is Gloucester, Mass, so we were by the ocean. It was nice. And on my off time for that, I was working at a fish market, selling fish, skinning fish, doing whatever. And I was eating too many lobster rolls and leaving too early from that place, so I got fired. I was leaving anyway, went back to California. Started waiting tables, bouncing at the bar where I was going to school, named Ideal Bar and Grill. If anybody knows it, shout out in Santa Cruz, Ideal. That was a cool place to work. We used to have karaoke. It was a steak, seafood place, so the plates were pretty high end. We used to carry heavy trays, man, and if you dumped one of those, it was like $1,000 and you were getting fired. They would stack the plates. It was like kind of a show to see how high they would stack these massively heavy plates, and it was pretty stressful actually at some points, but a good place to make pretty good money, good tips, and it was good experience. But I fucking hate waiting tables, by the way, but good for training that charisma and turning it on when you have to. Now, done with college, little stint in jail, doing jail laundry there, working for the jail, doing jail laundry 7 days a week, 8 hours a day. Now we're back and I'm training for SEAL training. So, training during the day, working at Home Depot, stacking boxes at night. Stacking boxes for Home Depot all night, training all day. I was doing that for a better part of a year before I signed my SEAL contract and shipped. Now, listen to that path, man. If you need to work through, man, have a vision, but always stay working because every single step along the way is teaching you something. You're not going to learn anything by being broke laying on the couch. That's for goddamn sure. Now, SEAL, that was my job, man. That's all I did. So that was better part of 7 years. Got out of that. Started as a supervisor for the largest private residential developer in the United States on the largest project in the United States, $750 million project. I was the number 2 guy, learning how to build homes, large quantities of homes, fast, from trenching, underground trenching, utilities, foundations, framing, inspections, electrical, all that stuff, all the way to countertops, everything. I had to learn every single piece of every job. Obviously can't do it all, man, but I knew how to manage teams to get it all complete. Did that for a year, then moved into the cannabis industry. We launched a cannabis distribution company. For the first year, it was legal. Now, that was a shit show. A lot of shady characters, very amorphic, and I was also working for a venture capitalist at the time, so I was raising capital for other companies. I turned into the CEO of this company, from CSO, Chief Security Officer, then was put in place as the CEO. Pitching decks, raising money, doing that. All that crashed and burned because of my own bad habits and poor decision making. Now, jobless. No money, jobless. Very bad point. And if you're in that place, this is the decision that I had to make. You got to keep moving. Don't stay stagnant. Do not wallow in that state of having no money. If you have no money and you're working a job, guess what? You're not working enough. Go get a fucking other job, right? Always make sure you have the ability to make some moves, because if you're just treading water surviving, it's very difficult to reach out, invest in yourself, get in a program, whatever, course, so you can learn some information so you can fucking make more money. But you're never going to save your way to financial security. It's not gonna happen. Never gonna happen. So you're gonna have to invest, learn some new skills so you can actually bring in more income sources. You have to have multiple income sources to make it nowadays, man. So now, French Foreign Legion. That was my only job. That's all I was doing. They had me, I was doing a little security every once in a while out there, but nothing really to speak about. And that was it. Then I made the jump while in there that coaching was my path, that I had learned enough, stacked enough, social proof, and also got myself correct with my daily habits. And now I'm here talking with you. That is the professional flow, my professional flow. What does yours look like? What does your story look like? If you're not where you want to be, keep pushing. Keep pushing for that next step. Don't stay stagnant. It's not your final story. It's not your final chapter. Be smart out here.